Hi guys, welcome to my study compass. In this video, I'll be walking you through the past paper, Math P2, Variant 1, May-June 2018. Let's get started. Write down a prime number between 20 and 30. After listing the numbers between 20 and 30, you are able to identify 23 and 29 as prime numbers, so you can pick either of them as your answer. In this case, I picked 23. Write 0.000387 in standard form. To be able to do this, we move the decimal point to a position after the first non-zero digit, which is 3. And so we get 3.87. Because we moved the decimal point 5 times, we have times 10 raised to the power negative 5. We have negative 5 because we moved the decimal point to the right. And so our final answer is 3.87 times 10 raised to the power negative 5. Write the recurring decimal 0.63 as a fraction. So let's let x equal the given recurring decimal, which is 0.636363. After that, let's multiply the recurring decimal by 10. And when we do that, we get 6.363636. Let's now multiply the recurring decimal by 100 and we get 63.636363. So moving forward, we are going to pick x and 100x because after the decimal point, the numbers are recurring in a similar pattern. So we now have 100x minus x is equal to 63.6363 minus 0.636363, and that simplifies to 99x equals 63, and we now have x equals 63 over 99. This can further be simplified and this leaves us with 7 over 11 as our final answer. Find the value of 7x plus 3y when x equals 12 and y equals negative 6. So all we need to do is to substitute the values for the letters into 7x plus 3y, and that gives us 7 times 12 plus 3 times negative 6. You can actually go ahead and type this directly into your calculator and you get your final answer as 66. The diagram shows two parallel lines, PAQ and SBCT. AB equals AC and angle QAC is equal to 43 degrees. Find the value of x. We know that angle QAC and angle BCA are alternate angles, and we know that alternate angles are equal, and so that means that angle BCA is also equal to 43 degrees. Base angles in an isosceles triangle are equal, and if this is the case, that means that angle BCA and angle ABC are equal. And so if angle BCA is equal to 43 degrees, angle ABC is also equal to 43 degrees. Another thing we also know is that all angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees, and so that means that x plus 2 times 43 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, and that gives us the value of x as 94 degrees. Calculate the area of a circle with radius 5.1 centimeters. So we know the formula for finding the area of a circle, and that is pi r squared. We've been given the radius of the circle as 5.1 centimeters, and when we slot that into the formula, we get pi times 5.1 centimeters squared. When we type this into the calculator, we get a final answer of 81.7 centimeters squared, correct to 3 significant figures. Calculate the length of AC. We have a right-angled triangle, and so to find the length of AC, we can apply Pythagoras theorem, and so that gives us AC squared equals AB squared plus BC squared. When we slot in the given values of AB and BC, we now have AC is equal to the square root of 2.5 squared plus 4.1 squared centimeters. When we type this into the calculator, we get AC equals 4.80 centimeters, correct to 3 significant figures. Expand and simplify. 6 into bracket 2y minus 3 minus 5 into bracket y plus 1. So let's expand the brackets. When we multiply 6 times 2y, we get 12y. When we multiply 6 times negative 3, we get negative 18. Negative 5 times y gives us negative 5y. And negative 5 times 1 gives us negative 5. 12y minus 5y gives us 7y. And minus 18 minus 5 gives us negative 23. So we have a final answer of 7y minus 23. 3 raised to the power negative q times 1 over 27 is equal to 81. Find the value of q. So to find the value of q, one way we can easily achieve this is to rewrite 27 and 81 to the base of 3. And when we do that, we get 3 raised to the power negative q times 1 over 3 cubed equals 3 raised to the power 4. In the next step, let's rewrite 1 over 3 cubed as 3 raised to the power negative 3. And so since we've succeeded in rewriting the equation to the same base, we can now say that negative q plus negative 3 equals 4. And this simplifies to give us the value of q as negative 7. Calculate square root of 2.38 plus 6.4 squared, writing down your full calculator display. So when you type this into the calculator, we get 6.58331223625. Write your answer to part A, correct to 4 decimal places. So after counting 4 numbers after the decimal point, the number after the fourth number is 1. And since this number is less than 1, we are left with 6.5833. Find the exact value of 8 raised to the power 2 over 3 times 49 raised to the power negative 1 over 2. Since we are not asked to show the working in this case, you can go ahead and type this expression into your calculator. I highly recommend you leave your answer in a fraction form since we are asked to find the exact value. But in other cases, you can leave your answer in a decimal form if you do not get a recurring decimal. You can also choose to go the long route by showing all the steps in your working. The benefit of that is if you show your working, you might at least get 1 mark even if your final answer is wrong. Okay, so in this case, let's go through the working. Let's rewrite 8 as 2 raised to the power 3 and rewrite 49 as 7 raised to the power 2. In the next step, let's multiply the powers. So 3 times 2 raised to the power 3 gives us 2 and 2 times negative half gives us negative 1. 2 raised to the power 2 is 4. 7 raised to the power negative 1 is the same as 1 over 7. And so that gives us our final answer as 4 over 7. Solve the inequality. 3n minus 5 is greater than 17 plus 8n. So the first step is to group like terms on both sides of the inequality, and that gives us negative 5 minus 17 is greater than 8n minus 3n. That simplifies to negative 22 is greater than 5n. So in the next step, since 5 is multiplying n on one side of the inequality, if you move it to the other side, it goes to divide negative 22. And so we have negative 22 over 5 is greater than n. Negative 22 over 5 in decimal is negative 4.4. So we have negative 4.4 is greater than n. Another way of rewriting this is n is less than negative 4.4. So in this case, our final answer is n is less than negative 4.4. Note that there is nothing wrong in leaving your answer in the form of a fraction as well. Without using your calculator, work out one whole number 3 over 4 times 6 over 35. You must show all your working and give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. So the first step is to convert the mixed fraction into an improper fraction, and that gives us 7 over 4 times 6 over 35. 2 goes into 4 twice and goes into 6 3 times. 7 goes into 7 once and goes into 35 5 times. So for the numerator, we now have 1 times 3 giving us 3, and for the denominator, we have 2 times 5 giving us 10. So our final answer is 3 over 10. Use the sine rule to find angle ABC. So by applying the sine rule to this triangle, we have sine ABC divided by AC is equal to sine ACB divided by AB. So by further simplifying this, we get ABC is equal to sine inverse of sine 84.6 degrees over 17.8 times 5.9. So when we type this into the calculator, we get the value of angle ABC as 19.3 degrees, correct to one decimal place. Y is directly proportional to x minus 1 squared. When x equals 5, y equals 4. Find y when x equals 7. So in mathematical terms, let's write y is directly proportional to x minus 1 squared. And this means that y is equal to a constant which we will call k times x minus 1 squared. To find the value of k, let's slot in the values of x and y given in the question. So when we do that, we now have 4 is equal to k times 5 minus 1 squared, and this simplifies to k equals 4 over 5 minus 1 squared. And when we type this into the calculator, we get k equals 1 over 4. We have y is equal to 1 over 4 times x minus 1 squared. So when the value of x is 7 and we put that value of x inside our equation, we get y is equal to 1 over 4 times 7 minus 1 squared. And when we type this into the calculator, we get y equals 9. On the grid, draw the image of shape R after the transformation represented by the matrix 0, 1, negative 1, 0. So one of the ways to go about this is to recognize the given matrix as representing the transformation rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the origin. And once you know this, you can use a tracing paper to help you complete this transformation and map out the new points of the shape R. Another way to go about this is to multiply the given matrix by the coordinates of the vertices of shape R and plot the resulting points on the graph. The speed time graph shows information about the journey of a tram between two stations. Calculate the distance between the two stations. So we know that anytime you are given a speed time graph, the distance traveled is the area under the graph. For this graph, we have a trapezium. And so to find the distance traveled, we have half times 90 plus 130 times 120 meters. When we type this into the calculator, we get our final distance traveled as 2,200 meters. Calculate the average speed of the tram for the whole journey. Speed is equal to distance traveled over time taken, and we know that the total distance traveled is 2,200 meters and the time duration for the entire journey is 130 seconds. So when we type this into the calculator, we get the speed as 16.9 meters per second, correct to 3 significant figures. The cumulative frequency diagram shows information about the time, m minutes, taken by 120 students to complete some homework. Use the cumulative frequency diagram to find an estimate of the interquartile range. The interquartile range is equal to the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So the upper quartile is 75% of 120 and that gives us 90. And when we map that on the graph, we get 30 minutes. The lower quartile is 25% of 120 and that gives us 30. And when we map that onto the graph, we get 20 minutes. And so 30 minus 20 minutes gives us an interquartile range of 10 minutes. Find an estimate of the number of students who took more than 50 minutes to complete the homework. When we map 50 minutes on the graph, we get 116. And so that means that the number of students who took more than 50 minutes to complete the homework is equal to 120 minus 116. And that gives us 4 as our final answer. Calculate angle LMN. So on the diagram, we've been given all three sides of triangle LNM and we've been asked to find an angle inside this triangle. And so the best formula to use to find this angle is the cosine rule. And by applying the cosine rule to this triangle, we get ln squared is equal to lm squared plus mn squared minus 2lm times mn cosine of angle LMN. And by slotting in the given values for the sides of the triangle, we now have 14 squared is equal to 19 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times 19 times 16 cosine of LMN. When we make LMN the subject of the equation, we get cosine inverse of 14 squared minus 19 squared plus 16 squared, all divided by minus 2 times 19 times 16. And when you type this into the calculator, we get our final answer as 46.2 degrees, correct to 1 decimal place. A box contains 3 blue pens, 4 red pens, and 8 green pens only. A pen is chosen at random from the box. Find the probability that this pen is green. So the probability that the pen chosen is green is equal to the number of green pens in the box divided by the total number of pens available in the box. And that is equal to 8 over 3 plus 4 plus 8. And that gives us our final probability as 8 over 15. Another box contains 7 black pens and 8 orange pens only. 2 pens are chosen at random from this box without replacement. Calculate the probability that at least 1 orange pen is chosen. So there are 3 possibilities in this case. The first possibility is that we choose a black pen first and an orange pen second. The second possibility is that we choose an orange pen first and a black pen second. The third possibility is that we choose an orange pen first and an orange pen second. So in the first case, we get a probability of picking a black pen first, which is 7 over 15, times the probability of picking an orange pen second, which is 8 over 14. In the second case, we get 8 over 15 times 7 over 14. And in the third case, we get 8 over 15 times 7 over 14. When we type this into the calculator, we get a probability of 0.8. There are 4 inequalities that define the region R. One of these is y is less than or equal to x plus 1. Find the other 3 inequalities. So first off, let's find and label the equations of the lines using y equals mx plus c. So after completing this step, this is how I go about the next step. Since the region R is located above y equals 3 over 4x, I write the inequality as y is greater than or equal to 3 over 4x. The region R is located above the line y equals 1.5, so I write the inequality as y is greater than or equal to 1.5. The region R is located below y equals negative half x plus 3. So I write the inequality as y is less than negative half x plus 3. Note that unlike the other inequalities, I wrote y is less than negative half x plus 3 without writing y is less than or equal to negative half x plus 3. And this is because on the graph, the line y equals negative half x plus 3 has been drawn with a broken line. To be extra sure that you have defined the right inequalities for region R, let's pick a test point inside the region R. Let's pick the point with x coordinate 1.5 and y coordinate 2. So after slotting this point into the inequalities, if we get true as the final statement, we maintain our inequality. Otherwise, if we get false as the final statement, then all we need to do is flip the inequality sign. F of x equals 5 minus 2x. G of x equals x squared plus 8. Calculate f of f minus 3. So first off, let's find f of x. So to do this, anywhere we see x in the equation f of x, we are going to put the equation f of x. So we have 5 minus 2x. So we take out the x and replace it with f of x, which is 5 minus 2x. And that simplifies to 4x minus 5. So now that we have the equation for f of x, to find f of f minus 3, all we need to do is wherever we see x, we slot in the value negative 3. And when we type this into the calculator, we get a final answer of negative 17. Find g of 2x. So this means that wherever we see x in x squared plus 8, we are going to take the x out and replace it with 2x. So this gives us 2x all squared plus 8, and this simplifies to 4x squared plus 8. Find f inverse of x. So to do this, we are going to replace f of x with x and replace x with y. After doing this, we will make y the subject, and we get y as 5 minus x over 2. So now all we need to do is replace the y with f inverse of x, and we have f inverse of x as 5 minus x over 2. 40 people were asked how many times they visited the cinema in 1 month. The table shows the results. Find the mode. So we know that the mode will be the number of cinema visits with the highest frequency. And so we have a highest frequency of 7, and the number of cinema visits is 4. Calculate the mean. So you know that the mean is equal to sigma f of x divided by sigma f. So to find sigma f of x, we have 0 times 5 plus 1 times 5 plus 2 times 6 plus 3 times 6 plus 4 times 7 plus 5 times 3 plus 6 times 6 plus 7 times 2, all divided by sigma f, which is the sum of all the frequencies. And when we type this into the calculator, we get the mean as 3.2. Omar wants to show the information from the table in a pie chart. Calculate the sector angle for the people who visited the cinema 5 times. So out of 40 people, 3 people visited the cinema 5 times. And so to find the sector angle to represent this number of people, we have x over 360 degrees times 40 equals 3. And when we make x the subject, we get x equals 27 degrees. Point A has coordinates 1, 0 and point B has coordinates 2, 5. Calculate the angle between the line AB and the x-axis. So from the illustration, we see that we have a right angle triangle scenario, and so to find the angle between the line AB and the x-axis, which we've labeled as alpha, we apply SOHCAHTOA, and that means that we have tan alpha equals 5 over 1. And when we make alpha the subject of the equation, we get tan inverse of 5. And when we type this into the calculator, we get the value of alpha as 78.7 degrees, correct to 1 decimal place. The line PQ has equation y equals 3x minus 8 and point P has coordinates 6, 10. Find the equation of the line that passes through P and is perpendicular to PQ. Give your answer in the form y equals mx plus c. So what we need to do is to find the value of m and find the value of c and slot it into the equation y equals mx plus c. So to find the value of m, which is the slope of the perpendicular line, we know that m times the slope of PQ is equal to negative 1. From the equation of the line PQ that has been given, we can identify the slope as 3. So when we put that into our equation, we get the value of m as negative 1 over 3. So now we have y equals negative 1 over 3x plus c. To find the value of c, we need one set of coordinates on the perpendicular line. And from the question, we've been told that the perpendicular line passes through the point P, which has been given as 6, 10. And so we will slot these values into the equation and we get the value of C as 12. And that leaves us with the equation of the perpendicular line as y equals negative 1 over 3x plus 12. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. See you in the next video. Bye guys.